everybody. My name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and today it's September 20th, which means I should probably get a move on with my Magical Readathon TBR. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Magical Readathon is hosted by G over at Book Roast. It is this massive readathon. It takes place a couple times a year. There's so much lore involved, and it's absolutely wonderful. I will leave links down in the description to her channel for an explanation of what the readathon is, because she can do it in much better detail than I can. But I have already completed half of my TBR for this round of the readathon. I had 6 books to read total. I did 3 of those, and I will leave the link to that vlog in the description if you haven't seen it yet. This will be where I read the other 3 books for my TBR. So I have 2 classes left to take for the Magical Readathon. The first is Restoration. I have 2 books that I have to read for this class, so I will get those done first, and then we'll do my last class at the end. So the first prompt that I have to cover for Restoration is a book with a single POV, and this might be fudging the prompt a little bit, because the book that I will be reading is a graphic novel adaptation of a novel, and the novel is in a single POV. The graphic novel, I guess it is still kind of, but also kind of not. I feel like the POV situation in a graphic novel is different because of the, addition of images. I don't know. So it's it fits the prompt, but it also kind of doesn't. I'm gonna go with it anyway, but I will be reading the graphic novel adaptation of The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I've never read the graphic novel for this before, and I'm very excited to be doing so. I adore all things Percy Jackson and Rick Riordan. You can see this shelf, minus these 2 books that are facing out. Besides them, that whole shelf is Rick Riordan books, because I just love them so much. I'm actually going to an event later on. I was gonna say this week, but I guess it's technically next week because today's Saturday, but in a few days, I will be going to an event for the release of the latest Rick Riordan book, The Courts of the Dead. It's by Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro. I do want to give credit because there are 2 authors on this book. My friend and I are going to go see them speak, and we get fun copies of the book, and I'm just so excited for that. So, yes, needless to say more, I am a very big fan of Rick Riordan. So I found the graphic novel adaptation of the first Percy Jackson book in a little free library a while ago, and I'm going to be reading it. It is short, as it is a graphic novel, so I don't expect it to take me super long, which I'm glad, because the other 2 books that I'll be reading in this video are probably going to take me quite a bit longer. But I will get started on this, and I do have somewhere to be in a few hours. My friend is having her birthday party. I don't know if I want to be reading for all of those hours until then. If I do, I could probably get this done today. If I get bored or restless or something and I want to do something else in there, this will probably take me more than 1 day, but not more than 2. So I'll either come back to talk to you today, later on in a few hours, or tomorrow when I finish this, because it is super short and I don't feel the need to come back and update you partway through, so I'll just see you when it's done, whatever that is. Hello friends, good morning. It is Sunday the 21st, and I have in fact finished The Lightning Thief graphic novel. I finished it yesterday before I had to leave to go to my friend's party, but I didn't have quite enough time to update you, which is why I'm updating you now. I did not enjoy this. It feels a little bit sacrilegious to say that, honestly, but I just feel like they cut out too much in order to adapt it. They could have made this longer. This is not long at all. They could have added a bit of length to keep more things in, more context. I feel like a lot of context was cut, a lot of scenes were cut or shortened. Like, there's so much taken out that really fills the story with more emotion and tension and heart, is what I would say. So, yeah, I guess if I hadn't read the book, this would have been fine, but I have read the book a lot, so I know how it goes, and this just was not it for me, but I'm glad I gave it a try. I can now put it in a little free library, and someone else can have it and hopefully enjoy it more than me. I was going to then introduce you to the next book on my TBR for this video, but I left it on the other side of the room, so give me a moment. Okay, so the second prompt that I have to cover for restoration is to generate 5 random countries and then read a book that either is set in one of those countries or by an author from one of those countries. So the 5 countries that I generated were Sweden, Belize, China, Denmark, and Haiti, which I feel like I really lucked out. There's quite a lot of variation, and I feel like they're not very uncommon countries. Like, I feel like I could have had an easy time of picking a book from any of those, but I did in fact go with China. And the book that I will be reading next is The Three-Body Problem by, I'm gonna try this again, Cixin Liu. I'm trying my best. If someone has like a very easy to understand pronunciation guide for this, please help me out, because I have seen it like phonetically spelled out in several different ways. I've done the thing where it like is a little audio clip to tell you how it's pronounced, and I've heard that like from different sources say it several different ways. I just want to know how to pronounce this author's name correctly so I can be respectful about it. I am trying my best. Anyway, this is like high sci-fi and deals with aliens, I think, or like space travel. I really don't know. But I'm gonna give it a shot. I do have the audiobook checked out from Libby for both this book and the third book I'll be reading in this vlog, which is fantastic. I'm really glad I managed to snag those. I feel like that would help me get through this faster than if I was just reading it physically. This isn't super long. It is 416 pages, but it is like a large paperback. Like, this is bigger than my head, and the font is a decent size, so I don't know. I am excited but apprehensive going into this. Sci-fi isn't a genre I read a ton of, but it is something I am interested in, so we are going to give this a go, and I will update you as I go along. You know the drill by now. Hello friends, it has been a few hours and I'm here to give you my first update on the 3-body problem. First of all, I did notice that one of the blurbs on the back of the book is from Barack Obama, which is just kind of wild to me. I don't know. But I have read part 1, which is the first just about 50 pages, so I think it's a good little dip into this book. And part 1 is called Silent Spring. It takes place in the 60s during China's Cultural Revolution, which I don't have a ton of knowledge about. Like, I know the basics. I did take a class in high school called 60s to 90s, where we covered world history, specifically in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So I did learn a little bit about China's Cultural Revolution, but I don't have a huge wealth of knowledge on it. So I definitely want to do a little bit of research on that just to get more context. But basically, our main character is, I'm gonna try and not pronounce this terribly. Her name is Ye Wenjie, something like that. And her parents were professors. She ended up going into academia. Her father ends up being killed as someone who is against the government during this time of the revolution. Her mother and sister are very much on the side of the government and like went against the father. She ends up kind of going under the radar, and years later she's working for this company that's basically performing mass deforestation. And during her time in this company, she meets this reporter who wants to do some stuff. I don't know, I'm not gonna like get into the details of it, but he ends up getting in trouble with the government and frames our main character so that he can get away with it, and she ends up getting in trouble instead. But then these people from this super secret science thing that's going on come to her when she's in jail, and they're like, instead of processing you as an enemy of the government, we will give you the opportunity to use your like physics knowledge and skills and other scientific expertise on this project that we've been doing. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll go for that. And so that's where part one ends, is her arriving at this facility and witnessing something strange that she kind of has no context to process in her head. And then that is our introduction. Part two is called Three Body, hence the three body problem, which I know is a reference to something in science where when you have two celestial bodies, they orbit each other. But when you have three all in close proximity, there's not like a standard orbit that they follow because the gravity is all affecting like each one differently. That's the basic premise, my understanding. I'm not a very scientifically minded person, but that's how I understand it. But part two also takes place more than 40 years after this beginning section, so we do have a time skip, and I'm very excited to continue on. It is intriguing so far. I do have to get ready for work though. I'm working 4 to 10 tonight, and I probably won't get into this after work either. I do like to read before bed, but this just might be a little bit too high concept for then. I'll probably pick something else up that's a little bit easier to read, but I will get back to reading this more tomorrow. And I think I will update you at the end of part two, which is page 245. So I'll read 200 more pages and then come to chat about this book. So I'll see you when that happens. Good morning, friends. It is about 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, and I'm here to tell you that I finished part two of The Three Body Problem. I am so glad that I'm listening to the audiobook as I read physically, because I feel like if I was just listening to the audiobook, I definitely would not be able to keep up. But even if I was just reading physically, which is how I take in information the best, I feel like I would be quite lost. But having both of them together is keeping me on track, and even though I don't fully understand a lot of the concepts going on, I feel like I'm understanding enough to stay rooted in the story. As I've said before, I'm not a very scientifically minded person. A lot of these concepts are going way over my head, but it's fine. I'm still having a good time reading this. It's fascinating. This second part, especially, I have been enjoying. It's giving me Ender's Game vibes, which I won't explain what I mean by that for fear of spoiling both Ender's Game and potentially this. I don't know if this is going to end up going the same way as Ender's Game, but I've got the feeling that it will. So I am very much enjoying my time reading this, and it's less intimidating than I thought it would be now that I'm actually reading it. Like, I'd built it up to be so scary in my head, but it's not. It is definitely more approachable than I thought it would be, even though it is still quite a challenging read. But I only have one part left. I have about 2 hours of audiobook left, according to Libby, at the speed that I am going. So I should be able to finish this up relatively soon. I don't know if it probably will most definitely not be today, but maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I do have to get ready for work in like half an hour because I'm working the 11 to 5 shift again today and also tomorrow. So I think I'm going to do something a little less mentally intensive for this little bit of time I have before I have to get ready for work, just to give myself a break. But I will see you when I finish the 3 body problem. Good morning, friends, and happy Tuesday. It is 9:45 a.m., and I have finished the 3 body problem. This third part, which is called Sunset for Humanity, really took things beyond my comprehension. As I've mentioned, not very scientifically minded. When they started talking about dimensions and protons and all that stuff, I'm like, sure, okay. I was quite lost, but we did get a lot of the alien stuff in here. We had a whole chunk of chapters from the aliens' perspective of things, like we got their side of the story. And we've now set up for the rest of the series, because this is in fact a trilogy. I've got 2 more of these bad boys, and I am excited to read them. I don't read a ton of sci-fi, and I think this will be a nice palate cleanser, a very complicated palate cleanser, but a palate cleanser nonetheless, among all of the fantasy that I read, because like 90% of what I read is fantasy, so this will be a nice change of pace. So yeah, I am glad that I've read it, even though this puts another series on my list, and I'm now in the middle of more than 50 series. It's a problem. I'm gonna maybe do something about it in 2026. We'll see. But yeah, that is the second book I needed for restoration, so I've now passed that class, and I only have 1 more to go. The last class that I need to complete for the Magical Readathon is Spells and Incantations, and I do only need to read 1 book for it, so it's the last book for this vlog and for the readathon as a whole. The prompt that I had to fulfill is to roll a d6 and then read a book with that many hundreds of pages. So I had rolled a 4, which meant I had to pick a book between 400 and 499 pages. And the book that I picked was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm so excited to read this. It's been a long time since I've read these books, like 5, 6, maybe even 7 years at this point. Like, it's been a while, but it is in fact, if I can show you, 458 pages. So it does in fact fit the prompt. I am buddy reading this with my friend Stieg. He is just as big a fan of The Lord of the Rings as I am. We are very nerdy about it all the time, and decided to read them together because it's also been a while since he's read it. I do have the audiobook checked out from my library, specifically the Andy Serkis audiobook, because I know there's a couple of different versions, but I wanted the Andy Serkis version because I think he is a master of his work. I have listened to his version of The Hobbit before, and it's so good, so I'm very excited to be listening to that as I read along physically, just like I did for the 3-body problem. And yeah, I will be cracking into this tonight, probably. I do have to get ready for work pretty soon. I have another 11 to 5 shift, but tonight I can stay up because I'm off from work tomorrow. I do have my Rick Riordan event tomorrow, but that's not till 6 p.m., so I've got pretty much the entire day ahead of me tomorrow, and I want to get a good chunk of reading in. I also want to do quite a bit of other stuff. I'm not behind on YouTube uploads, but I'm like not ahead either, and I'd like to get a little bit ahead, so I'll probably like film and edit a video tomorrow, get some good writing in. I have been writing consistently, and I'm very proud of myself, but I'd like to get a little bit ahead on that goal as well. But I will also be reading and updating Stieg with my thoughts, updating you guys with my thoughts. It's just gonna be a really good time and a good book to close the month out with. Quick update before I go to work. I think that I said in my last clip that it was Tuesday. It is not. It is Wednesday. If I did say Wednesday, then you won't be seeing this clip. But if you're seeing this clip, I said it was Tuesday. That was wrong. It's definitely not. It's Wednesday. Carry on. Hello, friends. It is 9 p.m. and I have just gotten back. Well, okay. I got back like an hour ago, but I stopped to get Wendy's on my way home because I was starving and then I scarfed it all down. So I've recently gotten back from being in the city for the Rick Riordan Mark Oshiro event, and it was a lot of fun. I took the bus all by myself for the first time ever, which, yes, I'm 27 years old. It's just taking the bus, but like I have a lot of anxiety, especially regarding like travel anxiety, and trains I'm okay with. I can take the train on my own, but buses freak me out. Like genuinely, I get so stressed having to take the bus even with other people. But I took the train. Nope, I took the bus by myself for the first time ever. My boyfriend did make sure, like, he came with me to make sure I got on the correct bus. And then on the way home, my friend that I went to the event with made sure I got on the right bus to go home. So it wasn't like 100% by myself, but baby steps. I'm still proud of myself. Anyway, the event was super fun. There were a lot of people there. It was kind of insane. And literally, right as it was like starting, the people came out to introduce Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro and then bring them out. I like was suddenly hit with this feeling of like, oh my god, this is actually happening. I'm about to see this author whom I've idolized seems like a bit strong of a word, but like whose works I've loved and who I've looked up to for like the past 20 years in person. And like, yeah, it wasn't like a meet and greet type of thing. He doesn't know I exist, but like getting to see him and hear him talk about things, and also Mark Oshiro, who the only book I've read from him was Sun and the Star. But like some of the things that, sorry, let me correct myself. I'm pretty sure Mark Oshiro uses they them pronouns, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it was still very cool seeing them there. It was just a very emotional time. I did tear up quite a bit. There were a lot of children, which like it makes sense because Percy Jackson is middle grade, but there were also a fair few people my age. Like I think it came out the first Percy Jackson book right before my 7th birthday. And like I've grown up with this series. Like I've had it in my life for the past 20 years. This is the 20th anniversary of the first book coming out. And then like seeing that there are also all of these new kids who get to have these same experiences that I had 20 years ago, like I just got really emotional. We were like in this gym, so it was kind of like weird seating, but it was still fine. The way it was set up, so the new book is called The Court of the Dead, and so they had it set up as like a court situation where Rick and Mark had to plead their case into the Court of the Dead, and it was really funny. Then they answered some questions from the audience. It was like part of like when you bought your ticket, you could submit a question to potentially be answered, and they only answered a handful, but it was still really cool. We did get to see a little teaser about season 3 of the new Percy Jackson series. It's not new anymore. It's been out for a few years. I've never seen it. I have to get on that. But season 2 doesn't even premiere until December, but season 3 is currently in filming, so it was only like 30 seconds to a minute long of like a little bit of behind the scenes of them currently filming season 3. So it wasn't anything really, but like it was still pretty cool. And then Rick got the entire crowd to sing happy birthday to Leah, the actress who plays Annabeth in the TV show, because today was in fact her birthday, and he like recorded everyone singing it to her, and that was so sweet. Yeah, it was a really good time. I'm so glad that I went. They did give us exclusive editions of the book. I'm pretty sure the exclusivity is just the sprayed edges, but it's fine. First, though, I'm going to show you this little pin that we got, because we got little blind bags, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And I opened it up, and it was a pin, and they're like these little demon things that are in the book, I presume. Um, I was so confused at first, because I opened this up, and it's this little guy, and it says loneliness, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the friend that I was with, she opened hers up, and it said guilt, and we're like, oh. And then like, it's fine. We understood what happened after that point, but it was just kind of a shock to open this and then just see that. But like, look at this cute little guy. I love him. The book is so cute. So this is the cover, very purple, and the back, and then more purple with the Minotaur's head, because the Minotaur is the main character in this book, and I'm very excited. The end pages are a map of Camp Jupiter. Is it the same? Oh no, on the back ones, it is a map of the Golden Gate Park. That's pretty cool. Why is there a picture of a T-Rex? Interesting. But the thing that makes it a Books A Million exclusive edition, I'm pretty sure it's just these sprayed edges that have these griffins? Question mark? I need to brush up on my mythical monsters. I'm pretty sure it's a griffin though. Griffins are the half eagle, half lion thing, right? I don't know, but it's really cute, and I'm very excited to read this. I am undecided if I'm going to reread The Sun and the Star first. They are, I think, independent of each other. Like, you don't have to have read The Sun and the Star to read this one, but I feel like it wouldn't hurt. It has been a few years. I read The Sun and the Star when it first came out, and I don't remember when that was, but it was a bit ago. So I might reread that and then read The Court of the Dead. We'll see. I don't know. But yeah, I am very excited to have this. Now for an update on the book I'm actually reading for this vlog. I have The Fellowship of the Ring right here. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I'm loving this. I think that Andy Serkis has done a phenomenal job with these audiobooks, which I'm excited to read The Two Towers and Return to the King, that's what it's called, with the audiobooks as well after this one. Which these audiobooks only came out in 2021. I thought they were a little bit older than that, but I guess not. But yeah, it's great. I think he's doing a phenomenal job with like the voices and the emotion behind it. My throat is so dry. I need to wrap this up. But I'm having a really good time with this, and I'm excited to continue reading. So I'm probably going to do some of that right now, actually. I'm going to get in bed, do a little bit of reading before I go to sleep, and I will update you. Oh my goodness. Hopefully when I have a little bit more of a voice, and when I've read more of my book. Hello friends. It is September 30th. It is 6:57 p.m. and I've just finished The Fellowship of the Ring. It has been many days since I've updated you because I've just been so busy, so I wasn't reading for a few days, and then I had to cram and read a bunch yesterday and today to make up for that because my hold on the audiobook was due at 9:59 p.m. tonight. So I finished with 3 hours to spare out of the 2 weeks that the hold is. So really squeaking it in there. Also, today's the last day of the readathon, so I had to get this done. It's fine. I did, in fact, finish it. Before that, though, let me give you an update on where I've been. I went to the Ren Fair on Saturday, a few days ago, on the 27th, and I ran into Bree there. Bree, if you don't know, Bree Bonomo, she is an author tuber here and a good friend of mine. I love Bree. She's fantastic. And it's really funny because I went to the Ren Fair with my boyfriend and my best friend. And on the way there, my best friend was like, "Oh, you think we'll run into anyone that we know?" Because a lot of people that we went to college with are nerdy like that and would go to Ren Fair. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen anyone posting about having gone yet this year or like plans to go, so like maybe." Also, though, I do have this online writer friend who I know goes every year, but like it would be such a coincidence if we ended up going on the exact same day and ran into each other. And then we did. Like, it was bizarre. We were walking past, and out of the corner of my eye, I see someone like looking at us, and I like turned and I'm like, "Oh, they look familiar. Oh my god, that's Bree." Absolutely wild. So it was nice to chat for a minute and like meet her in person. That now brings my total number of author friends that I've met in person up to 3. So we're getting up there. Yeah, it was delightful. And then Sunday, I just ran a million errands and then was exhausted afterwards, so I got an early night's sleep. Then yesterday and today, I was working, and when I wasn't working, I was reading. I had a good time. I forgot how much happens in this book. Like, it's truly insane. Like, what do you mean? 300 pages in, we're just finishing the Council of Elrond. That's wild. It's mostly Tom Bombadil. I just forgot how much of the story is Tom Bombadil because he's not in the movies, so it's just gone in my brain. Forgot completely. I mean, I didn't forget about Tom Bombadil, but I forgot how much he was in the story. Um, yeah, I had a really wonderful time reading this, and I'm excited to continue on with the trilogy. Not right away. I'm not sure where Stieg is at in his reread, so I'm gonna have to figure that out, and then we can figure out when we'll be reading book 2. But that is neither here nor there. This was the last book that I had to read for this vlog, which means I can close this out right at the end of the readathon. I read some good books. I read a graphic novel adaptation of a good book where the adaptation was not my favorite, but overall I would consider this a success, and I have completed my required courses for my calling for the Magical Readathon, and that's really the most important part. The most important part is enjoying the books you read, but like right under that, the second most important part is completing the required courses. But we have now come to the end of this vlog. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.